Miguel and Alfonso. Both are tech leads, and we're going to be talking about Figma Dev Mode, exploring the benefits of Figma Dev Mode in design and development workflows. We also have Victor here. If there's anything that you want to share with us, Vic, you're more than welcome to do so. And if you have any questions, you can leave them on the chat box, or you can also raise your hand. Yep, so Edgar, go ahead, you can take over.
Sure, Gabby, thank you. Hello, everyone. As usual, a pleasure to be here. So today's topic is going to be interesting again. We will be reviewing how the tools right these days, they are getting more complex, but at the same time, they are offering new features for the developers and the designers. And the idea is that we will start seeing how this process starts streamlining. So what I can see from the get-go is this tendency for these tools to become eventually a tool that can help us move through the life cycle of developing applications all in one go. So it's going to be interesting to see this evolution and how things and pieces start moving and getting together. And eventually we will, I'm pretty sure that we will get to this point where maybe you have different picks, but most probably we will see this whole development workflow streamlined, and for sure that will help a lot to be more efficient and streamline the overall process, and in general help the software development industry. So that being said, I will pass to Alfonso. He is going to help us present a little bit more on Figma, and we also have Miguel for adding his comments. So let's start seeing what is in there for us. Over to you, Alfonso.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I just want to share something before to pass to present the screen and show these new features. So we picked this topic for you because a couple of weeks ago there was the conference from Figma, Config conference, and they present like many features related to Figma, and many of that features are very close or very close with the for developers, not too much for designers, but for developers. So that's why we want to show you these new features. And let me share my screen to start to see these features in action. Okay. So you are able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me hide this and this. Well, maybe this. Okay. So
probably here everybody knows Figma, right?
Yeah, Figma, I think, has established the main design tool for applications around the world. So also Figma has been acquired by Adobe in the past November, I think. So they have been working hard, I think, because they really had a lot of features to use, and I want to start comment some of them. First, now we have these local variables. So
those are the new changes, right?
Yeah, these are the new changes. For example, in the past versions, if we want to show in a prototype the many different routes to follow, for an application, we need to create a lot of wiring here. Like, okay, if the user click here, it needs to go to this. If the user do this other thing, it needs to go to and that kind of things. So sometimes the wiring is like a mess and follow to maintain, and hard to maintain and hard to follow the flow. So they added these local variables, and it works like a little database, local database here. And so you can add a lot of interactions without to do this kind of wiring become a mess. So this is one of the nice feature. I don't know, Miguel, if you want to add something here.
I guess we can proceed. Yeah, I also remember that problem, the previous version, trying to connect through the prototype. So actually that approach you wanted to follow, there is you needed to duplicate many times the section, many times. Probably a big can help us with that, but was very complicated. So
Yeah,
that's what I can say right now.
Yeah, for example, also for an application that goes live to different countries. Before we need to create a screen for each of the languages that we want to release. Now we
that
can
was a mess.
Yeah, now we can add that like as a variable, and the text will be turned into the different languages. So that's pretty cool. Also, the themes, the dark theme, the light theme, and other themes, we can add it as variables, and it will change the colors. So that is a pretty cool feature. Also, they added the following. Okay, one other thing that they added is here in the section. If I click here in this main section, it shows this this feature. So I can mark this section as ready for dev, and developers will notice that this page one and this section main is ready to be developed, and I can start the dev mode. So here we have a switch. So if I click here, I will enter into the dev mode. Okay. And now we have different options here. One is, for example, I can compare the changes in the Figma. So if I click here, I can choose, for example, what was the last version and what is the changes that I need to do in the development. Okay, so I can see the colors are different, mainly the colors, and this gradient here is also different. So I know what is that I need to change. So
this is basically, yeah. So this is making this similar to version control that we normally get when we are coding, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then we get to see these different points or different, let's say, benchmarks, and we can see what were the differences between them. Even something that I like here is that we can even see the previews. So it's not only that you see, like you have different versions, but you can also kind of compare them side to side, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so that definitely would make it easier for anyone. to review what exactly was the thing that changed. So one question that I have here is, do we know if we can add any sort of comments as we normally do when we are coding? Do you know, Alfonso, if that's something that,
Yeah, we can add
that we can make? But these
not for
comments would be
the
part
history.
of the versioning?
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
Actually, this is just one option. Okay, but remember they also added GitHub. So from GitHub, you can also take that advantage, having the whole version control through the repository. So probably there you can add comments, you can create PRs, you can create commits.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just, well, that one, the history is just for this environment, right? And just trying to identify what has changed.
Exactly. So maybe another point that we can mention here, I believe, is that we might get the web version for Figma, right? But in this case, we are seeing the desktop app, right? And that's why we can get and see all of these features. So do we know if these features are also on the web side?
Yes,
or
yes, they are available on the web version also.
Okay.
They also created an extension for Visual Studio Code. So now inside Visual Studio Code, you will see the whole environment here, there.
Yeah. So, okay, I will back to the designer mode because I want to show you another feature. Before we have the present and only. So if we want to run this design and how does it see in the we used to click here on the present and it open a different screen, and here we can see our design, right? But right now they added this preview option, so this is pretty cool because you can have it like this, and if you change something here, for example, like this, it shows the change immediately in the preview. So you cannot have to start keep changing between the different screens to see the changes. So that's also something cool.
Very helpful, yeah.
Very helpful. And so let's back to the dev mode.
Bigger than Flutter, right? The Flutter live reload.
Yeah. So here in the left side in the screen, you are seeing an application that we will use later. But let's keep reviewing the changes. So also that something Figma added in this version is this layout here that is pretty helpful for developers because we can see the paddings, the borders, the margins in the application. And so, for example, if I select this element, I have this layout here, so I can see the font size and the paddings and everything, right? So this is something that also is coming in this new version. And also here in the code, we have this CSS code, but also they added the Swift UI UI kit for iOS. That is something that they developed together with Apple. And for Android, we have Compose and XML. Okay, so we can, if I click here, for example, I have the code for Swift UI. Okay, but what I think is the most powerful thing they added these plugins. So if I switch here, I have like many plugins developed by the community, and for my opinion, this is the best one. Figma.
You try it a lot, right?
Yeah. So let's see what does it does. So if I run this plugin,
that's amazing.
and I click any element. For example, here I have the whole homepage element. And we have like many technologies here. We have the HTML. We have a Tailwind option or React.
Wow.
We have for Flutter, and we have, for example, this widget option or this full app option. So if, for example, if I want to make this as the full app, and I only need to copy this code and paste it in the Flutter application, and it will change the code. I mean, this application that we have running here, it will change to something like this. But also we can create the widgets. For example, if I want to create this button as a widget, the widget is like a component, just the button component, for example, make it as a widget, right? So
In Flutter, that's a basic paradigm. Everything is a widget in Flutter.
So I click here on the widget, and as you can see, the code changes to a widget syntaxes, and so we can basically create many things with this.
That's amazing, right? Because as developer, you can just go to your mockup, and if you want that specific design, you're in Flutter. You just need to select your, for example, this label, and you just need to say, okay, I need this widget. And then you just copy and paste in Visual Studio Code, and automatically you will see that button or that component. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also we have the Swift UI code. Okay, so what I want to do here is to copy this code and paste in my code. For example, we have running this Flutter demo homepage, right? So
when you create a basic application in Flutter, this is basically the default code, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I will change the title just to see that it is this
Real
one.
code.
Yeah, the social demo now. And what I'm gonna copy this code as a full app. I will replace this main Dart code. So I will delete this and paste this one. And here, obviously, we need to fix some little things like this. For example, change to decoration. And we also, these blue underlines are like warnings that we can fix it running a simple Dart fix code.
And you would always have to do this fix?
Yeah, because well, not always.
Only at the beginning, right? Once.
Yeah, because also Flutter developed released a new version recently, so they changed something. But now, as you can see here, running that simple code, code, fix all the things, and we don't have any problems here or warnings. So if I will reset the application, and voila.
That's amazing.
We have the same code. I mean, the look and feel is actually the same, and we take like 2 minutes, right? So what do you think?
Amazing. No comments here. It's crazy. Obviously, you need to have a lot of context, right? You need to know how, for example, in this case, Flutter works. But if you have the basic understanding in Flutter, you can easily go ahead with this technology, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for example, something that is not happening here. For example, in this code, this container that is our homepage has this height and width, right? So
fixed
if I
to that
change,
pixel, yeah.
if I change the size of the device, it won't change with that. So developers need to create this base code in something more responsive, right? But I think we can achieve draft versions or an MVP in a very a short period of time. So I think that's why I think it's very powerful, this tool and this feature that Figma released recently.
Interesting, because we are not good creating design, right, as developers. Basically, that's the main problem we have between a designer and a developer, right? So because once the designer has created the design, the mockup, then we need to, as developers, we need to create that design. So, and that takes a lot of time. So now with this tool, which is just copy and paste, and then we can focus on the functionality.
Yeah, out of curiosity, what do you think? It would be more likely that the developers would go more into the design, or designers will start coding a little bit more?
We both, right?
Both?
Yeah,
Yeah.
depends on the person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that I mean, right now we can see designers that has a lot of notion of development, and also we can see developers that have a lot of notion of designing. I think right now with these kind of tools, the time and the way that we can agree in something will be faster than previously.
Right.
Also, something that you can add here, for we can see we have this GitHub plugin, so we can match, we can link design homepage with a specific file in our GitHub. So that's something. So we can open here, for example, open in GitHub, and it will open here. The code for that file. So we can have a link between each of these pages or screens with specific files in GitHub. So that's also helpful.
Very powerful, yeah.
So you can explore your other plugins, but this one I think is amazing. Yeah,
I think Edgar asked this question, but I just want to make sure this is available for everyone that has a Figma account, or how is it?
Yeah, this is available in the web version or in the desktop application version, but also is available for the free accounts. It is not necessary to have a paid version for Figma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And something that I want to share, that VS Code and Figma work together, and they released the Figma extension for VS Code. So if you can install it from here, Figma for VS Code, and it will appear this icon, Figma icon, so you can have the different files here. And if you click one, you can show the Figma design here in your in the VS Code, so you don't need to start to open Figma even to see the code. I mean the design, and we have this also this inspect here, so we can have like this layouts, the styles, and everything here.
So suppose, Alfonso, you create a new GitHub repository, okay, with this new project in Flutter. Then you clone your GitHub repository to your local environment, okay? And second step is to connect those screens with the specific files in your Flutter project, okay? So that means with this screen, you can modify the screen, and automatically you will see the result through GitHub, right? You just need to pull the changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Great.
Yeah, that's great. So what's the implication for the designers? I mean, at this point, we are seeing, for example, one application that is designed with one layer, right? That is like the background, and then we have the content that goes atop that. But what will happen, for example, if we want more complexity and more layers? Would that be something that Figma would be able to translate to actual code through these plugins, for example? I'm asking this because I believe that is giving now even more focus in the designers' work, because they will start, like, yes, creating the designs for the applications, but at the same time, they would need to think about the functional aspects of it as well, right? So I suppose, for example, if they add a bunch of layers and then we want to translate all of that into code, then that might have implications later for, like the application itself, if we translate this directly into code, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think with these new features, and actually in the Config conference, the Figma team also added a comment about it. They want to involve the developer team in the main, I mean, in the beginning of the design, because as you said, if we start, I mean, the designers start to do the design without some development inputs, it will become messy and instead of easy, right? So yeah, I faced that problem actually when I prepared this. Because if you don't have like some inputs for the development side, it won't be this kind of easy like copy paste, because it will change like many things. But yeah, I think it's time to the development team and the design team work since the beginning together to have both inputs and have that kind of easiness in the future, like copy paste.
I also shared with you here by the chat a link. This is /best practices. Okay, there you will see a kind of methodology. So it's interesting. Probably everybody needs to read that one, because as you know, we need to follow, right, a workflow. We need to follow specific naming conventions, and everybody needs to understand the whole flow. So if we have that understanding, probably we're gonna create an amazing platform application. So yeah, please, you have time, please read that documentation.
Yeah, and at the same time, I think now because in my mind, right, I believe this synergy between designers and developers should have happened in every project for quite some time already. But the truth is that many times the designer has to do like the mockups, and just as after they finish and everything is approved, and then we move into development, and then there are things that do not match, etc. And it was because the developer at the same time was kind of paid for, like coding, not so much for, coming here and understanding the design and guiding that, right? But now I think it's going to be justified that a developer works really alongside the designer, because whatever output that can, like be generated from here would actually be a screen on the application. With some tweaks, that's true, but at the same time, it will really be this design stage for the screens. Really, like be part of the same stage, both for the design and also for what you're going to see in the screens later, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's also pretty exciting, because many times I've seen, like the design in Figma or maybe in other tools, and the end product is not really like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and then the clients are like, okay, but what happened to the design that we were seeing
Yeah.
before, right? So in that case, I can see also some matching happening there, and then the clients would be more happy about it, because
All right.
pretty much whatever they are seeing, it's what's going to be there in the application, right? So that's pretty interesting. Another aspect that I wanted to touch here is, Gabby was saying, say developer, could you come and design? And my personal response would be no, because that's kind of an art, right? Really, like the colors and all of that, you really need some preparation for that. But at the same time, something that has worked for me for quite some time is, what about the components that are already there? Like, for example, when we are talking about design, right? Or when we are talking about, material design. So do you guys think these controls that are already kind of predefined, and that we can, kind of copy and paste to build our interfaces, do you think that would translate well into code?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know actually, because sometimes I think some of that kind of design systems are not prepared to do the copy paste of the code like this. But I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I think we need to check that in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see that happening in the future? I mean, like perhaps some of these big companies or communities, maybe they can create these particular components like that, right?
Yeah.
And then it would be even easier just to take this design system and get it translated into one actual application from there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we can have like the design system, but in the development way, so we can create the buttons, the text, the inputs, the different elements that maybe we can, like here, for example, I have the primary button and I can create it as a widget. So we have the primary button widget, and it will be reused in different screens, but within the development, right?
So, sorry, Alfonso, could you please open figma.com/community?
Yeah.
Because I can see what I can see right now. The community is working on it, Edgar. Really, you visit that link. So you actually right now we have that section. So as developer, for example, what I try always is to go before getting started with a project, creating mockups. I usually go to /community. Then I look for a cool wireframe or a template, okay, similar than my current project. And from there, I start working on the just changing or using the design is there. Okay, so, but now scroll up a bit, please. If you see, now we have more sections. For example, you click on development. So you can easily, you wanna try with specific design systems or specific structures, you can click on it, a specific item, and you can open in Figma. So for example, this one is using kind of design system. So if you can try, yeah, open it in Figma. Oh, but you will see there those components, even the controls to your left in a side panel. So this is what you can do right now. So, and actually those new projects are connected now with Dev Mode. So probably that can help you a lot. For example, you have a dashboard with material, then you can just easily modify that dashboard and you can just modify the elements. That will help a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I know, for example, but Google will create definitely the controls and everything. Just matter of time.
So now I would like to ask our designer here at Cogent, right, Victor? What do you think about it? Would you be willing to try it?
Yeah, hello guys. Yeah, I think these new features on Figma are very interesting because as a designer, we always try to understand the client requirements, and many times there needs different compositions or layouts, and as a designers have the problem to understand and try to make that the client needs. And in my case, I sometimes lose the point of view of a development or a programmer, and I only focus on have the client the client requirements, and I think with these new features, we as a designers can try to understand a little better what is the next step to transform these layouts, because as Edgar says, sometimes the final development is very different to the design, and I think we have the possibility to understand better the next step to convert our layouts in a real application, I think. And yeah, I think this can help us both of the sites, and I think it's very interesting to know these new features.
Right. Yeah,
I
no,
also
definitely. Yes, Miguel, please.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I also have a point there. I personally love to work as a front-end developer, and I have been working with teams front-end with many front-end developers, and I also have interviewed a lot of front-end developers. And when I am interviewing a candidate, I usually ask about the front-end skills, because we usually have a front-end who can create the screen, okay, the UI, and then we have a second profile as front developer can create the interactions and the logic between the backend and the rendering. So if you have an API, right? And you wanna call a specific API, then that specific profile is helping you with that structure. So what I can see right now, it's for the first one, the first profile, they basically will become a kind of Figma developer, right? Because, and actually, probably we want to reduce a lot the teams, because we usually spend a lot of time trying to have a similar version in a real code from the mockup. So we're gonna have that interesting merge, right? A kind of a mixer between the front end skills and this new Figma. I don't know how to call that profile, but probably a Figma developer or something like that.
UI
Yeah.
developer.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. UI developer will be interesting. Really. A new profile has born. A new job.
Right. Yeah. So now I would like to hear from Gabby. So Gabby, from your perspective, would you be willing to experiment and maybe create your own application now that you know these tools?
Yes, for sure. I actually wanted to say that I'm very into designing, and since I joined Cogen, I have learned Figma from Lakshmikan and from Victor as well. And I always like to play with it and even create mockups. And I also obviously more than doing it as a career path, it's also good to understand how to code. So now that these two things are together in just one web or app, I think it's great for someone like me. I'll be able to still play and design, and at the same time, with the code already there, I'll be able to understand more how to proceed with that, because obviously it's pretty abstract to me whenever I see a code. But if I start learning, I'll be able to just see it like quicker, right? Like I have this and now I have this in an app. Yeah. So it's great. I will definitely try it. I will play with it, I will say.
Sure.
I think we can reach like the first draft or an MVP in a very short period of time with this.
Yeah, we can say,
right.
We have, sorry, Edgar, please go ahead.
No, please continue, Miguel.
Yeah, I was saying that we have this period, right, creating mockups, but we usually present. We have that meeting with the client saying, okay, this is the project. You can see the mockups. This is the flow. Everything is here. But imagine instead of doing that, instead of having that meeting, it's like please install this application.
Right.
Yeah, you can navigate. We don't have a database or we don't have a backend ready, but you can feel how everything is working, the flows, the UI, and everything in your phone.
It's a huge step. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same point, I think we were talking about it earlier today, right? About the importance of the user experience. So I think it's going to take more relevance now, even because it is true that now we will be able to generate the design and then like have it there for the user to test. But then it will be more relevant that these mockups have already this component, right, on how the users will be using it. So it actually makes sense, not only the design, but actually, like all of this navigation and all of this interaction. It will be present more than ever, I think. But at the same time, it's going to shorten the feedback loops, right? Because, for example, if there's a person working in a factory and they are using the application, and from the get-go, they see like, look, it is complicated for me to click here or to try to scroll here, right? it's going to be way faster to iterate and then get from that feedback to the design and then to the code, as if it was almost magically happening. So I see exciting times coming ahead. Yeah. So in the other thing that Gabby was mentioning, maybe she started learning Figma out of curiosity and a little bit as part of her job. But at the same time, this will open more and more the space for people that have enough curiosity, right? And just by the fact of learning how to use Figma, then they can start learning now how to do this basic structuring code, and from there that will open more paths for them as well. So yeah, what do you think about this flexibility? Do you see this happening in the future? That more people start getting into tech and in general into developing applications thanks to these kind of tools?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we are almost there, actually, I guess.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that without this Figma Dev Mode, people are, I mean, almost everyone wants to learn how to code. And now with this type of things that makes everything a little bit easier, like Figma Dev Mode that gives you the code, or ChatGPT, I think that it's like an impulse, like, yeah, people, it's like, it's easier. It's the access and the learning, everything is easier now with all these AI tools and things like that. So definitely, I think coding is one of those careers that has like everything to be the biggest one in the future, if it is not the biggest one right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, Edgar? Actually, have an idea. Remember, we had a session with AutoGPT. With AutoGPT, now we can create listeners. So, for example, you are working with this project that Alfonso presented. You have an application connected with GitHub, okay? Then you are modifying your mockup, and then you automatically have that change in your code. So, for example, once you are in your local environment and you polish the last changes through those listeners, we can automatically adjust the project with a prompt. Like every time you have a change on this project, please tweak this one, or please modify something. And automatically you can iterate. Yeah, it's an option. So I also think we are almost there with those autopilots, right? Even helping us locally with your project. That would be really interesting.
It even sounds like a great proof of concept, right?
We can
then
try
you can
it.
start streamlining some work there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what about you, Alfonso? Do you see that as an option, like automating this whole flow?
Yeah, I think so. It can be. I mean, we are close, and we also we are seeing this trend in other, for example, in content creation. Right now, we have a lot of content creation automation flows, right?
Yeah,
So
Twitter.
I think that's the trend for many other tasks.
All right. Yeah. So I don't know, Gabby, would you like to open the any section for Q&A for the few minutes that we have left? Anybody, any questions? What do you think about the overall subject?
If anyone has a question,
or a comment.
Or a comment. Otherwise, we're also almost there to close this tag. So yeah, if no one has any comment, and I don't know if you guys want to say anything else to close. Try Figma and go through that link that Edgar shared. I wanna do that, so let me copy it. And yeah, so if we are good, then thank you for being here.
So I
One more
leave
time.
you here another link, and that's the Config conference
Oh.
in San Francisco, showed by the Figma team. So I think it's very interesting what they present and how they present. So you can see it for more information and open
This
your.
is for Figma Mode, right?
Yeah, they present.
Live.
I think half of the config was focused on the dev mode, and the other half in the design features.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, yes. So you have two things to watch. We do. And yes, so if we're good, then thanks everyone for being here once again. Thank you, Uma. And yeah, well, we'll see you in 2 weeks for another session. And have a great rest of the day. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Right.